Hello and welcome to BW Hotwires. We have with us Mr. Manish Bhatnagar, Managing Director, SKF India Ltd. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time, sir.
Thank you.
So, first of all, as you know, COVID is not just restricted to India. It's a global pandemic. So, everybody is trying to come out of it. So, has your company been able to come out of this pandemic and all, or are you still witnessing the after effects? If you're able to come out of it, how will you be operating differently?
So, COVID is a reality which we are facing not just here but everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
That is a reality that we have no control over. What we have control over is the way we react to this pandemic. And we can react in one of two ways. We can play the victim and hunker down and say, okay, we will only step out when the vaccine is found or things are okay to step outside. Or we can carry on as much as we can with the right precautions in place. So we have very clearly chosen the latter path. We were one of the first to open up our offices, open up our factories, and we were in the minority. I think we may still be in the minority few who are right now operating at near full capacity. And I think our customers are appreciating it. Our suppliers for sure are appreciating it. Because we all have to carry on with the economy. The economic cost of the lockdown has been tremendous, Avishek, as you know. I think it's incumbent on people like us, especially in the manufacturing space with our large employees, to be able to not play this victim mindset, but be able to go out and do what we need to do, which is keep the wheels of the economy turning. So we were the first to start operations, and we are still continuing to do so with, of course, the right precautions at work with our employees and our communities and our suppliers.
Can you tell us the investments that SKF has made in India so far, and are they on track, or they will be on hold because of COVID and all? If you are willing to talk about that.
Oh, sure. We have been in India for almost 100 years now. We have been manufacturing in India for over 65 years now. We have 6 plants here, and each of these plants gets upgraded every year, keeping in mind new expectations, new demand, etc. So those investments are ongoing. To me and to SKF in general, India is a very, very important country for SKF, one of the top 5 in the world. And there is no reason for us to stop investments. It's a big market for us. We have suppliers here who supply to SKF factories globally. There is a timing issue. Investments may get delayed by a couple of months or 4 months or 5 months, but there is no discussion at all inside SKF of whether we should stop or cut back our investments. India is clearly a growth market for SKF. What we do in India impacts SKF globally, and we will continue full speed ahead with, of course, a timing delay based on market conditions.
You said you have 6 facilities running. So are you in tune with the government's Make in India policy? Or if yes, how do you perceive this ATMANIRBHAR program as? Will that give a big boost to your manufacturing operations? If you can talk a bit about that, how is it going to help you in the long run? And most importantly, are you going to create jobs or are you going to eliminate jobs? Because now you need robotics, AI because of those social distancing and other factors.
Yeah, so we were vocal for local and ATMANIRBHAR before they became buzzwords. We have not, it is not a recent phenomenon for us. To give you an example, almost 85-90% of what we sell in the country is made in the country. It always has been. And we were always ATMANIRBHAR for a long time now. Of course, as customers have new expectations from us, and you mentioned, we've been hearing about EVs a lot these days. Now, as and when those new technologies come into play, as and when new expectations come into play, we have to think about what investments we need locally to keep on this ATMANIRBHAR path. So our investments don't stop. We will keep localizing. And SKF's philosophy globally has been we need to be as close to our customers as possible. Our customers don't want us to ship bearings from XYZ country. They want us to ship bearings from not just within the country, but really we want to be as close to their factory as possible. So if a customer has a plant in Pune, we want to be localized as much as supplying it from Pune, not even from Bangalore. That's the extent of Atmanirbharta we've always had and believed in. So for us, it's a way that we do business. It's not new.
So, the key product lines that you are making in India, you're selling over here, and the key industries that you're catering to, in the interest of our viewers, sir.
Sure. Automotive is certainly a big sector for us. It's about 50% of our business. And we cover the entire gamut of automotive there, two-wheelers, tractors, commercial, passenger, and now EVs. And the other 50% is industrial. And industrial, we go across to almost every industry. Wherever, Abhishek, you see a rotating part, whether it's a fan in your home or a washing machine or a drive or a motor, anywhere where you see anything rotating, it cannot rotate without a bearing. And SKF being the world leader, the number one player in the bearings industry, more likely than not, those rotating parts are driven by SKF bearings. So 50% industrial, 50% automotive across all sectors.
This will be the pattern going forward also?
Sorry, go ahead.
Because there are many industries opening up, like defense and aviation has opened up. You're seeing the recent developments in defense. I'm sure you're watching it very closely because you cater to that industry globally. To the best of my knowledge, most of the bearing companies, global bearing companies, does. So, will the equations change going forward, or you would like to maintain the status quo?
Well, I think as and when new sectors open up, we of course want to be at the forefront of those sectors. You mentioned defense. Absolutely. Make in India is a big initiative by the government in defense. I will add a couple of more sectors for your consideration. The railways. Big time expansion plans for the railways. You could argue in a way it's automotive. It transports things. Now, railways, whether it's freight or passenger or locomotives, big plans for localization in India. And you can add more sectors to it. Everywhere we are seeing a lot more localization, a lot more companies setting up shop in India, and a lot more reliance on companies like us who are able to supply bearings and components from India. And frankly, it's not just because it's a good buzzword. It's not because, hey, vocal for local sounds good and feels good. It's also good economics. And at the end of the day, we run businesses, we run companies. So while the slogans are great, it's also good business sense to be able to supply things locally from India, to be absolutely local as much as possible.
So you see green shoots in aviation, aerospace, defense, and other sectors? Would you like to, do some sort of crystal ball gazing? Only if you're, comfortable with that.
Oh, sure. Let me pick automotive first, because I know that's an interest to your viewers. We are seeing green shoots in two-wheelers, and we are seeing green shoots in farm equipment. Okay, we are seeing maybe seeds being planted, not shoots as yet, in passenger vehicles. And we think commercial vehicles is going to take a couple of years to come out of the situation they are in, for reasons which frankly go much before COVID. There were policy issues, as you well know, which have impacted CVs. So automotive, that's the space. On the industrial side, we see green shoots everywhere actually. I'm surprised every day when I come into the office what new customers are calling us. The sectors you mentioned, defense, aerospace, transportation, railways, food and beverages, textiles, construction, cement, mining. I can go on and on. The degree of green shoots vary. Some have become small shrubs, some have remained very small shoots. But on the industrial side, we are seeing a tremendous recovery, much more than what we had, at least I had foreseen. I remember doing a town hall in April when someone asked me a question, what will recovery look like? And that time my answer was, it might be at best a U-shaped recovery with a very long base of the U. And I now think it will be a much smaller base of the U, almost bordering towards a V.
Coming back to the auto industry, there have been multiple disruptions. Like earlier, shared mobility picked up pace. Now, shared mobility is at an all-time low. Personal mobility going up. BS6 emission norms coming in, and now the government is talking about e-mobility. It was already talking about it, but now e-mobility is like the toast of the season. So how do you pick up those, if I may say so, micro trends in the auto industry and all? And do they eventually become macro trends? Do we see the end of ICE vehicles in India? And is EV the future? If yes, how are you recalibrating your product line?
Yeah, so one has to look at, let me pick on EVs as a good example. You have to look at electric vehicles in a much larger way. You have to go back and think 4 or 5 years ago. Why were electric vehicles launched in any country? The basic premise was clean environment. And EV is only one part of it. How do you charge the EV? And you know this, Avishek. How do you charge an EV? If you're going to charge an EV using electricity produced from coal-fired plants, then EV is a very small cog in that value chain. If you are charging EVs like we do in India from coal, I don't think it's as effective as, let's say, in some other countries, in Europe, etc., or the US maybe. So one has to look at EVs from that perspective. So it's not just mobility, it's about clean energy and clean environment. So we pick up these micro trends, you're right. For these micro trends to become macro trends, they have to have an impact beyond just that, what is visible to the eye. The optics of an EV are great, but unless we can fix our power structure, I think EVs will have a very minuscule role to play in what it was set out to be. As an example. But having said that, we keep a very close eye on all micro trends, including EVs, including BS6, including payload on commercial vehicles, etc., etc. And we have products in our portfolio that, we are a global company. So EVs is maybe new to India, but it's not new in China. It's not new in Europe. So we have bearings that are well developed, and we can transplant that manufacturing very quickly to India to meet the needs of EV suppliers in India. Right now, the market is fairly small, so we don't make those specific bearings in India, but we could do that at a moment's notice when the market does become big.
So will they be made in India, the EV bearings?
Today, no.
Okay.
Today, they are not made in India.
Going forward.
Absolutely. ATMANIRBHAR is on our blood. We don't want to ship bearings from Germany or China to supply to a manufacturer in Bangalore. Like I said, our localization needs us to supply bearings to the guy in Bangalore from Bangalore, not even Pune. So we're going to go down that path.
Do you intend to get into any new product line which will, widen the horizons, or will you like to put all the eggs in one basket only, if I may say so?
No. We should also get into the eggs business, the good business these days. But not putting all the. No, I was joking. So we should also get into the eggs business. Then we can take your example. Okay. But we are actually not in the bearings business, frankly. We see ourselves to use your words, in being able to reduce friction in any application. Now, bearings is one way you can reduce friction. Lubrication is another way you can reduce friction. Seals is another way you can reduce friction. So we are into bearings, seals, and lubrication. And the fourth thing I'll say, which cuts across all three, it goes back to the EV example I gave earlier on, is around environment. So we also want to be able to contribute to the circular economy. Bearings, seals, lubrication, how much can we remanufacture them? How much can we recycle them? Because producing anything new takes a toll on the environment. So a lot of our efforts now is going around to making SKF not just carbon neutral, but also contributing to the circular economy, which is a big, big goal for us globally. And that's a fourth element I want to throw in the mix here. So bearings, seals, lubrication, and everything around circular economy. And one example of that could be, for example, many industries around us use a lot of oil, whether it's quenching oil, honing oil, grinding oil, etc., including automotive industries. When the oil gets to end of life, what do we do with it? We take it up and we throw it away. That's not great for the environment. We have now a technology, a company we bought last year, where we can take that oil and recondition that oil, almost remanufacture that oil, so we can put it back in circulation to be used again and again and again. So that's the fourth part we want to do around the circular economy.
And sir, another byproduct of Make in India is like exports. Like you make some products and you ship out some products. So how are you leveraging on that? And the key countries that you're catering to and all. And will it accelerate further? In the future.
So we, part of SKF's philosophy and what our customers expect from us to be as much local as possible. The same reason we want to localize in India is the same reason they would want to localize in China or Malaysia, US, etc. So having said that, there are certainly some bearings where the volume of production is so low that we cannot be local everywhere. So for those small volume productions, we want to be more regional and less local. And India is a very, very strong base for regionalized supply of bearings. So we are looking at investments in India to be able to supply bearings across Asia. Because we cannot have a factory set up in Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines, everywhere, but we have the scale in India. So we'll do a factory in India to make bearings for India and our nearby countries.
Okay. You mean India lookalike market?
India, well, nothing looks like India. India is fantastic, but close to India. Absolutely.
You've already mentioned about the impact COVID had on the company as well as the industry. So, are you, despite all those setbacks, are you foreseeing sustained growth in the next few quarters? If yes, are you confident of posting a positive CAGR over the next few years? If you can talk a little bit about that. And if you are expecting a positive CAGR, what would be the growth drivers?
So I think this year will not be positive for obvious reasons. So 2020, this year, of course, it'll be negative. 2021 onwards, it will be positive. It's easy to be positive on a bad year. So let me not just say we'll be positive on the current year, because this has been a very bad year for everyone. So the question you really need to ask is, will you be positive over 2019? Because that's a real comparable year. And the answer to, I can speak for ourselves, absolutely yes. We will be positive over 2019 and of course beyond that. And we will diversify away from sectors that are not expected to grow. So we will certainly, putting a lot of effort on two-wheelers, on lower CC two-wheelers, not the high-end two-wheelers, on farm equipment, on tractors, on specific industries on the non-automotive side. We are very bullish on construction because of infrastructure investments. We are very bullish on the railways because of new investments being added, because of the new freight corridor being built. we are very bullish on F&B, and we are bullish on metals. So I think I got to pick and choose here, but by and large, there are about 6-7 industries that will do extremely well, and some that will not do as well, and some that will be laggards. But that's what strategy is about. What do you do and what do you not do? We'll of course not chase everything. We'll chase a few, we'll do them well, and we will grow next year and beyond.
So a couple of quick questions. You have 5 minutes with you?
I have as much time as you want, my friend.
Okay. So, sir, the hasty implementation of GST caused quite a few teething troubles in the auto component industry. So, have you been able to streamline the whole process? Have you been able to bring your tier 2, tier 3 vendors on board, and are they now part of that GST ecosystem? If no, how are you going to bring it? How are you going to bring them on board? And also, is the GST and auto component, the tax structure on auto components favorable enough, or there needs to be some fine tuning from the government side?
I think the GST question has been done and dealt with. Yes, there were certainly teething problems, and with anything new, no one can anticipate every single problem. There were certainly starting troubles at GST, but I think that's been done and dusted. All of our suppliers are on the GST regime and doing very well. No issues there. On the tax side, I think the one comment I will make is not so much GST, but more in terms of import duties.
Okay.
If we really have to make this Make in India concept a reality, we have to be allowed to import specific materials from the outside which are needed to make local components. We cannot have a 10% duty on steel from coming in from Europe or some other place when we have no option to buy that steel in India. So while the government puts in place regimes and incentives to build capability for that steel quality in India, bearing steel is very, very high quality steel, possibly the best quality steel that's out there. And in many cases, we don't have access to that quality of steel in India. So we have to import from the outside. If we import from the outside, you punish me with a 10% import duty, I'm anyway disadvantaged with a 10% higher import cost. So that's the one comment I want to leave with you and someone in the government who's possibly watching this, that help us out with import duties for products that are not available in India. And we guarantee you, Make in India will become a reality much faster than you think it can be.
My last question, sir, what is the road ahead for SKF? What are the key strategies that you're implementing post-COVID and all, and what kind of revenues are you projecting, and will India be your biggest market in the future?
Yeah, I think we have to get away from this COVID narrative. And maybe I'm in the minority view here. Our strategy does not change pre-COVID, post-COVID. COVID will go away. If you walk on the streets outside here, you can see people outside. Everyone is out there. I'm not saying they're doing it in a safe manner, but people are outside. But the point I'm making is COVID will go away. Our strategy that we laid out in January this year has not changed because of COVID. It may get delayed by a couple of quarters. Our strategy is very focused. We have some very well-defined focus areas. One, of course, being on innovation. We touched upon that now. Can we bring innovative products to market in the least amount of time to get to market at the lowest possible cost to help our customers? Second is around performance solutions. We really want to align the interests we have with those of our customers. Yeah. So we'll get there. Third is around digitalization in the broad sense, but certainly digital sales. And I don't mean that in terms of e-commerce, which is a part of it. I mean using digitalization to create value for our customers. And digitalization for me is eliminating the pain and reducing the effort for our customers. And the fourth is around creating a workforce that's future ready. And this was in progress even before COVID. And future ready could mean different things to different people. But to us, it's having an agile, innovative, customer-centric, and digitally savvy workforce. And those ambitions remain as they were earlier. They will remain as they are now, and nothing changes for us. In terms of specific growth rates, this year will not be great. You know that. Next year onwards, we will be back to our trajectory of double-digit growth rates as we have been in the past.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure talking to you, sir. It was very insightful. We have learned a lot about your industry. We hope to interact with you in the future. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. You take care. Bye-bye.